Hi, and welcome back to Lifestyle School. If you have tuned in to last week's episode, we talked all about how to manage hunger by eating the right foods, specifically foods that trigger satiety hormones like peptide Y and cholecystokinin, also known as CCK. If you haven't listened to that episode yet, I highly recommend checking it out because it lays the foundation for understanding how our bodies signal fullness. But today, we're going to dive into something even deeper and what happens when those hormones and satiety signals aren't working properly in the first place. Have you ever felt like your body is fighting against you when it comes to losing weight? I know I have. Like you're eating the right foods, doing the right things, and yet you still feel hungry all the time. Or maybe you feel like your body is just stuck at a certain weight no matter what you do. The reason behind this could be leptin resistance. And this is a condition where your brain no longer responds to leptin hormones the way that it should. And the hormones that regulate, and leptin is the hormone that regulates your hunger and your body weight. This leads to constant hunger, intense cravings, and higher set body weight that feels impossible to break through. But here's the good news, guys. Leptin resistant isn't permanent. You can reverse it, and fasting is one of the most effective ways to do just that. So today, we're going to be talking about how leptin resistance develops, why it makes weight loss so difficult, and how fasting can help you reset leptin levels, making hunger more manageable and weight loss so much easier. And if you're feeling stuck, frustrated, or just wondering why your hunger never seems to go away, this episode is for you. So, leptin is often called the satiety hormone. Maybe you've heard about it before, but it tells your brain when you've had enough stored energy and don't need to eat more. So, unlike peptide YY or CCK, which we talked about last week, those hormones regulate short-term satiety after meals. Leptin controls long-term energy balance, or how much stored energy you have long-term. The more body fat you have, the more leptin your fat cells produce. So, in theory, this should mean that people with more fat should feel less hungry, right? Unfortunately, that's not always the case because when leptin levels stay high for too long, the brain stops responding to it properly. And this is called leptin resistance. When you're leptin resistant, your brain doesn't hear the messages that you have enough stored energy. So it keeps sending hunger signals even when your body already has plenty of fuel. And this leads to constant hunger, even after eating, cravings for high calorie processed foods, and a higher set body weight that your body tries to maintain. Talk about frustrating, right? This is why leptin resistance makes weight loss feel so incredibly difficult because your body is literally fighting to keep you at a higher weight. But the good news is, just like you can reset your hunger hormones with the right foods, you can reset your leptin levels and lower your body set weight with the right strategies, fasting being one of the most powerful. So, when I was on my own journey, truth be told, I feel like my journey is never ending because life, is just constantly throwing us curveballs. But I had my first baby, second baby. After the second baby, I felt like I was doing everything right. I was eating very much a balanced meals, not too many carbs. I was working out really diligently. I was lifting weights. I was doing cardio. I was even tracking my food for a while, but despite all my efforts, I was always feeling hungry. I really struggled with cravings, and I couldn't seem to lose that extra baby weight. And, I felt like either I was broken or my body was fighting against me, which maybe also feels like your body is broken. But so when I started to look deeper into this issue, and when I started to learn about blood sugar management, about insulin resistance, about fasting, all the signals pointed to leptin resistance, which I had, unfortunately, on top of insulin resistance, which we'll talk about next week. But even though, I had enough stored body fat hanging out of my brain wasn't getting the message So it kept telling me to eat and eat and eat. And, when your body's continuously telling you to eat, it's really hard to say no because it takes so much willpower. And there's only so much of that to go around, especially when you have high demands in life and, being home with two small kids. My stress was up, right? So instead of just focusing on eating less, what I really started to do was working on resetting my leptin levels. And so by incorporating fasting, reducing processed foods, optimizing my meal timing, something really incredible happened. And honestly, to this day, I'm still shocked. But within just a few weeks, my hunger started to decrease. My cravings disappeared. I was actually able to, just walk away from the snack cabinet, which would have been really difficult before. And weight loss then became so much easier because I wasn't thinking about food 24/7. And, I wasn't just white knuckling it through, my days, feeling hungry. My body naturally started to work with me to help me lose the weight. So now that we understand what leptin resistance is and how it develops, let's talk about how it affects your body weight, hunger, metabolism, and most importantly, how to fix it. So first, let's start with what happens to your body when you have leptin resistance and why it makes weight loss feel so impossible. When leptin is working properly, your brain gets the message that you have enough stored energy and it adjusts your metabolism and hunger accordingly. And that means naturally you're going to feel full after meals, your cravings are going to be lower, and your body burns the right amount of calories to maintain a healthy weight. But when you develop leptin resistance, your brain is no longer responding to the leptin the way it should. Instead of telling you, hey, we have enough energy, we don't need to eat anymore, your brain thinks you're starving, which even though you have plenty of stored body fat sitting around waiting to be used as fuel. So this is why people with leptin resistance experience constant hunger, intense cravings, and this leads to an immense difficulty in losing weight no matter how little they eat. It's because their body is stuck in this miscommunication loop where it keeps pushing them to eat even though energy stores are high. And it doesn't stop at hunger. Leptin resistance also lowers your metabolism if your brain thinks you're starving. It will tell your body to conserve energy by burning fewer calories throughout the day. So now, not only do you feel hungrier, but your body is also burning fewer calories at rest. Major trouble. So this leads to what we call a higher set body or body set weight. Your body set weight is the weight your body naturally tries to maintain. Think of it like your body's thermostat for fat storage. When leptin resistance develops, your brain starts to believe that your current weight is your baseline, even if it's higher than what's healthy, unfortunately. So if you try to lose weight, your body fights back and makes you hungrier, slows your metabolism, and increases food cravings, all in an effort to get you back to that higher set point. Talk about frustrating. So this is why many people feel like they're in a never-ending cycle. They cut calories, but their body compensates by burning fewer calories and ramping up hunger, and it feels like their bodies are actively working against them. And, there's good news that I want you to hold on to if you feel like this is your story. You can reset your leptin levels and lower your body set weight. And fasting is one of the most powerful tools to do that. So, how does fasting fix leptin resistance? Let's break it down step by step. So, fasting lowers leptin levels to reset sensitivity. The first thing to understand is that when you have leptin resistance, excuse me, your leptin levels are already too high. Even though leptin is the satiety hormone, too much of it for too long causes your brain to become desensitized, like we talked about, and it stops responding. When you fast, your body naturally lowers your leptin production. And over time, this helps your brain become more responsive to leptin again. Woohoo! Your body starts hearing the signals properly, which means you feel less hungry, food cravings go down finally, and your metabolism starts functioning normal again. Think of it like a reset button. You're lowering leptin so your brain can finally listen to it properly again. Next up is fasting reduces inflammation in the brain. Leptin resistance isn't just about hormone levels, it's also about inflammation. So, studies have shown that chronic inflammation, particularly in the hypothalamus, the part of the brain that regulates hunger and weight, plays a huge role in leptin resistance. Inflammation blocks the leptin receptors in the brain, making it even harder for leptin to do its job. But here's where fasting comes in. Fasting has been shown to dramatically reduce inflammation markers in the body, especially in the brain. And this means that when you fast, you're not only lowering leptin, but you're also creating a healthier environment in your brain so that it can start responding to leptin properly again. That is amazing news. And next, in regards to fasting, it improves insulin sensitivity, which helps leptin work better. And we're going to dive deeper into this next week in our next episode. But to touch on this topic, leptin resistance and insulin resistance often go hand in hand. In fact, most people who struggle with leptin resistance also have some degree of insulin resistance. When insulin levels are high due to frequent eating, processed foods, or, you know, just insulin resistance, it interferes with leptin signaling. This means that even if you have enough leptin, your brain doesn't get that message again because insulin is blocking it. The good news, fasting also improves insulin sensitivity. When you fast, your body gets a break from insulin spikes, allowing insulin levels to decrease. This in turn helps leptin work properly again, leading to better hunger regulation and easier weight loss. Don't we all want easier weight loss? I know I definitely do. Okay, and next up, fasting naturally regulates hunger and it lowers your body set weight. So, where things get really exciting, when you start fasting and resetting your leptin levels, your hunger will naturally decrease, as we talked about. You're no longer fighting cravings all day long. You feel fuller for longer after meals. You don't feel like you need to snack constantly just to keep hunger at bay. And because your hunger is now regulated properly, your body stops defending that higher body set weight. Instead, your body set weight will gradually decrease, meaning your body wants to settle at a lower, healthier weight, which is what we all want, right? And this is why fasting isn't just about eating less, it's about fixing the root cause of hunger and weight gain in the first place, right? I'm just gonna say that again. Because I think this is just such an important piece of the weight loss puzzle that I think so many people don't think about because we think it's willpower, we think it's just eating less, it's moving more, and that's just really not the case. And this is why I'm such a big proponent of fasting because, again, 1 in 3 Americans have insulin resistance. And with that comes leptin resistance for many, many people. And that is why fasting isn't just about eating less, it's about fixing the root cause of hunger and weight gain in the first place. So let's put this into action and look into how to use fasting to fix leptin resistance. So, if you're ready to reset your leptin levels, start with small, sustainable changes. This is what I always say. If you go too big at first, you're going to maybe do well for a couple days. Inevitably, you're going to fall off the wagon and uh, you're going to be like, well, screw it, throw in the towel. Maybe I'll start back on Monday and then Monday becomes next Monday. And that is not where we want to be. We want to make small, sustainable changes so that we can really make this a lifestyle. That's why this is the Lifestyle School podcast. Because if we don't make our weight loss journey about our lifestyle, I'm sorry, I've done this for 10 years. It's not going to work long term. So, a great first step is to extend the time between your meals. Instead of snacking every few hours, try eating 3 square meals a day with no snacks in between. For me, on the beginning of my journey, that was incredibly hard because I was someone who ate constantly throughout the day. But what this does is it gives your body time to lower insulin and help leptin levels lower between meals. And if you're comfortable, you can experiment with a 12-hour overnight fast. That might seem like something really small to you. Maybe it doesn't, but the average American eats like 14 plus hours throughout the day. So most people aren't even getting that 12-hour break of an overnight fast. So if they eat breakfast at 7, you're done eating by 7, no snacking at 10 right before bed, which simply just means that 12-hour fast is you're stopping eating after dinner and then you don't eat again until breakfast. Once that feels good, you can slowly extend your fasting window, working toward a 16-hour fast if that feels right for you. The goal isn't to force yourself into, these really big therapeutic fasts. And we do talk a lot about therapeutic fasting in Lifestyle School for Weight Loss. But what this will do with just a 16-hour fast is going to allow your body to reset its natural hunger signals a little bit more. Some people do need therapeutic fasting if you're really, in a deep hole of leptin resistance and insulin resistance, but a really great place to start. And many, many, many people feel so much better doing a 16-hour fast. And that's just like such a great, easy place to start that has like a very low barrier to entry, low risk. Because most of us, at some point or another have gone 16 hours, whether it's on purpose or on accident where we didn't eat. So at that same time, it's important to support your leptin levels by eating nutrient-dense food, whole foods. And can't prioritize this enough. Fasting is never enough by itself. It's a great starting point, but we have to start fueling our stuff with ourselves with real quality food. As I talk to my kids about food as we go through the grocery store, because they're like, what can we get this? What about this? And, Lucky Charms, Goldfish, chips, whatever. And I've started to refer to a lot of the food we see in the grocery store as a food-like product because really it's not food. Like it's a man-made product that we eat and that we have labeled as food, but I don't know that I would say it's really food. So sorry, I'm getting off on a tangent, but prioritizing high quality protein. So this would be things like grass-fed meat, eggs, wild-caught fish, healthy fats like avocado oil, olive oil, olives, nuts, and seeds, and then fiber-rich vegetables like spinach and broccoli and zucchini as you tolerate them. And of course, avoiding processed foods and refined sugars, as these contribute to both leptin resistance and insulin resistance. So by combining fasting with real whole foods, you create the perfect environment for your body to lower leptin resistance and regulate hunger. And what this is going to do is it's naturally going to help you shed excess weight. The most important thing to remember is that hunger isn't just about willpower, it's about your hormones. Leptin resistance makes you feel hungrier than you should be, and it makes weight loss harder than it should be. And who wants weight loss to be harder than it should be? Because it's hard enough as is, right? But when you reset your leptin levels through fasting and real food, your hunger becomes manageable, your metabolism improves, and your body naturally works with you instead of against you. And that's the key to sustainable, effortless weight loss that I preach every day at Lifestyle School for Weight Loss. Now, let's get into some common questions about leptin and fasting. So, how do I know if I have leptin resistance? So, if you constantly feel hungry, even after eating, if you struggle with food cravings, or you find it difficult to lose weight despite doing everything, quote unquote, right, you likely have some degree of leptin resistance. Another question I get is how long does it take to fix leptin resistance? And this is great news. Most people notice improvement within a few weeks of starting fasting and reducing processed foods. But full leptin sensitivity can take months to fully address. So you're going to improve within just a few weeks, but for full healing and that, true reset of your hormones, it's going to take a few months, but it's hard work that is so incredibly worth it. Another question is fasting safe if I already feel hungry all the time? And the answer to this is an absolute yes. The beginning of a fast might feel tough, or the beginning of starting fasting, the process and habit or practice, I should say, of fasting might feel tough. But as your body adapts and leptin sensitivity improves, your hunger will naturally decrease. And I want you to know too, I think sometimes we think if we ignore hunger, it's just going to grow and grow and grow until it becomes this overwhelming thing, like we're gonna like have a seizure and fall over. But that's actually not the case. If you feel hungry, many times if you just, have something to drink, whether it's coffee or tea or water, and then you just like sit with it for a bit, it will decrease. And, we talked about some studies about that, I believe, last week in the episode. So you are going to feel hungry if you have leptin resistance at the beginning of this process. And it's a really good opportunity to just like sit with it, and like, how does it make you feel to feel hungry? What does it bring up? You could put yourself through your own little therapy session when it comes to sitting with that hunger, or, you could distract yourself. So you decide what you're ready to take on. So to wrap things up this week, I want to challenge you to start really small. I want you to try extending time between your meals, maybe by 1 hour, or, start trying some fasts. And I want you to pay attention to how your hunger shifts over time. And if you're ready to take things further and truly reset your body's hunger signals, I want to invite you to join Lifestyle School for Weight Loss. And this is where I teach you how to optimize your hormones for weight loss in a sustainable way that can become part of your lifestyle. So you can head over to my website, www.hopeplatcoaching.com, and check out Lifestyle School there. And I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in today for this episode. This is episode 6 of Lifestyle School. And, if you found this episode helpful, I'd love for you to subscribe to my channel, leave me a 5-star review, and share it with a friend who might benefit from it. I've had so much fun putting these episodes together, and I'm really passionate about this topic. I want to see people get well, and so I would love to hear from you. If there's a topic you want me to cover, if you got something out of this episode, maybe you put something into practice and you're seeing the results of that. I absolutely love hearing from people. So, let me know in the comments, send me an email. Don't forget to follow me over on Instagram at Hope Pat Coaching for more tips and, education. And let's make sure this week we work smarter, not harder. And I want to say until next time, take care and remember, you've got this. A quick reminder before we go, this episode of Lifestyle School is for educational purposes only and is not medical advice. It is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any diseases. And if you have any medical concerns, make sure that you are working with your qualified healthcare provider and make sure you talk to them before you implement any new dietary or lifestyle changes. Thank you.